Today we've lined up 15 incredible stories of Tesla hate and road rage incidents. Buckle up, you're going to need it.
Wham, bam, Teslacam, I hope you're satisfied.
This submitter, who asked to remain anonymous, was driving his Tesla Model 3 in Mesa, Arizona while using the full self-driving beta. He was going the speed limit when he approached a slower-moving Chevy driver who was swerving and having difficulty maintaining his lane. Our submitter noticed this but wasn't too concerned as his Tesla continued. Once past the Chevy, he began merging right to reach his exit. Suddenly, the Chevy driver sped up, gaining on the Tesla. As they reached an intersection, the Chevy was tailgating our submitter right up on his bumper. Once they'd turned, the Chevy driver sped up and began passing our submitter. Once the two cars were next to each other, the Chevy driver waved at our submitter, so he decided to stop and see what he wanted. Both drivers slowed down, eventually stopping in the middle of the road. The Chevy driver then jumped out of his car and opened his back door before grabbing something from a backpack. Our submitter began reversing so he could talk to the Chevy driver. Suddenly, our submitter realized the Chevy driver had retrieved a gun from his backpack. He hit the juice pedal, peeling out even as he heard gunshots going off behind him. Once he was at a safe distance, our submitter called the police. The officer who responded watched his Teslacam footage before remarking, "That was weird, you did nothing to provoke him." Thanks to our submitter's Teslacam footage, the police were able to identify and arrest the Chevy driver right away. Our submitter told us that when the cops asked him why he'd done this, he said he'd just gotten in a fight with his girlfriend and he hates Teslas. Two pedestrians began jaywalking across the road just as our submitter's light turned green. While taking their time crossing in front of our submitter's Tesla, they made gestures while yelling something unintelligible. One of them began walking toward the car. Our submitter tried to get out of the way, but the man ran up and kicked the Tesla's fender. The impact even knocked the repeater camera out of alignment when the guy kicked and dented the fender. Our submitter did not think stopping would be a good idea, so after reaching a safe location, he made a police report and an insurance claim noting the damage. The vandal hasn't been located, so our submitter ended up paying his insurance deductible to get the damage repaired. He might be facing an increase in his insurance premiums as well. In the end, our submitter paid out of his own pocket after this random man kicked his car. Our submitter would love to press charges, so if you know who this man is, please let us know and we'll pass the information along. Scott was in a turn lane when he noticed a sign under the traffic signal indicating there were two turn lanes up ahead. When it was safe, he maneuvered into the outer turn lane. The driver of a truck tried to do the same, speeding up when he saw Scott pulling into the turn lane before slamming on his horn. Scott merged back into the other turn lane as the other driver seemed pretty angry, but the guy matched Scott's move. He then got out of his truck, screaming profanities at Scott before punching the Tesla's window. Scott told us the punch was so hard, he's surprised but thankful the window didn't shatter. The pickup driver then got back in his truck before both drivers sat there awkwardly waiting for the light to turn green. When the light turned green, Scott turned down a side street just to be sure the pickup driver didn't follow him. Our next video features what may be the worst professional driver we've ever seen on this channel. Get ready for some insane and completely unprovoked road rage from an Italian truck driver. It all started when Henry and his girlfriend were driving down an Italian highway on their way home to the Netherlands in their Model 3. Just before crossing the border into Switzerland, they approached heavy traffic caused by a construction zone up ahead. Check out the truck on the left. It's owned by a company named No Limit Transport, which is fitting considering the driver had no limits. After combing through the footage, we can confirm this was the first encounter Henry had with this trucker. As Henry passed the truck, the driver gave no indication whatsoever that he was planning to change lanes. Apparently he wanted to, though. As soon as Henry passed him, he merged behind Henry, still neglecting to use his turn signal, by the way. The lane Henry and the truck were now in was ending up ahead, so all traffic needed to merge left. Henry matched his speed with the traffic in the left lane so he could merge, but the trucker must have thought he was going too slow. The trucker drove onto the shoulder to overtake Henry, but he told us that with a little bit of Tesla power, he prevented that from happening. When the lane finally ended, traffic was using the zipper merge method. The trucker managed to merge before Henry did, but then he closed the gap, blocking Henry from merging. With Henry now behind the truck, the driver brake-checked him to a complete stop. Once the construction zone had ended, the road split into 2 lanes again. Henry told us he's learned that Italians can get upset easily, so he kept his distance from the trucker. Henry stayed behind him for several minutes, but he kept driving slower and slower. Eventually, Henry tried overtaking him, but the trucker was determined not to let him pass. Things kept escalating as the trucker's attempts to block Henry got more and more dangerous. Remember, this trucker has no limits. The truck driver finally took his exit, but not without telling Henry that he thinks Teslas are number one. Henry's girlfriend immediately shouted he needed to send his footage to Wham Baam Teslacam. They're both happy there was no damage done. Sean was driving down 6th Avenue in New York City when he witnessed road rage between a yellow cab driver and a delivery cyclist. After they both stopped and exchanged words, the cab driver basically pushed the delivery guy with his taxi. The cyclist retaliated by taking the yellow cab's side view mirror home as a souvenir. Okay, to be fair, he only punched it off, but at that point, the passenger of the taxi had had enough and jumped out. So did the cabbie, but by then, the delivery guy was long gone. We're not sure who won in this altercation. Maybe nobody did. Vinita was driving her Model Y to work one morning. She was following the flow of traffic when she merged into the left lane to prepare for an upcoming turn. What she didn't realize was that the driver of a black Ford had tried and failed to overtake her, and this had apparently hurt his precious feelings. He tried to overtake Vinita on the right, shaking his fist at her during the attempt. She still didn't notice his road rage, and she only spotted this fist shaking later while reviewing her Teslacam footage. This attempt to pass her also failed since traffic in the right lane was moving slower, so the Ford driver ended up behind Vinita's Tesla once again. When traffic in the right lane finally cleared, the Ford driver saw another opportunity to road rage against Vinita for, actually, we have no idea what for. He sped up to get next to her Tesla, then threw his drink at her. At this point, Vinita still had no idea what was going on. Thankfully, it looks like most of the drink ended up in the guy's own car, and since Vinita's windows were up, absolutely none of it ended up in her Tesla. The guy then turned around and went the other way. Tell us in the comments who you think was the victor in this little contest. Cam was driving behind a red Hyundai when a trucker in front of him made a dangerous lane change. The Hyundai driver did not want to let the trucker pass and stayed in the truck's blind spot, resulting in a collision that damaged the Hyundai's side view mirror. The driver of the Hyundai then tailgated the truck aggressively while laying on the horn. The trucker eventually merged back over after overtaking traffic. The Hyundai driver then sped up, but it looks like the trucker followed suit. The Hyundai driver cut the truck off and forced him to stop in the right lane. Thankfully, this reckless maneuver didn't cause any other vehicles to collide with the truck. Cam told us the Hyundai driver looked very aggressive and the damage was minor, so he chose not to stop. Andre is an Uber driver who got a pickup request from a bar late one night. When the rider began stumbling toward his Tesla, Andre immediately suspected he was intoxicated. Andre decided to open the rear passenger door for him, as many people, especially drunk people, seem to have trouble with Tesla door handles. Suddenly, a woman who was apparently with him came running out of the bar and began banging on the front passenger window trying to get inside. Andre could barely understand what she was saying when she started pointing and hitting the guy. Andre quickly decided to close his back door and nope out of there. He reported the incident to Uber, then decided to call it a night. On his way home, he was thankful to Tesla's door engineers for saving him from what could have been a very frustrating ride. Joe and his wife were headed home from a date at the Kitchen American Bistro, the restaurant founded by Elon Musk's brother Kimball, when they encountered a man randomly kicking cars. Thankfully, Joe's Tesla wasn't damaged. Not wanting to get in an altercation, he just kept driving. Joe told us they just bought a Model Y because they love watching Wham Baam videos, and they were hoping they'd have videos to send us. Thanks, you two. The most common Tesla hate videos we receive are still the coal rolling videos like this next one that Tim sent us. Let's roll some more. Clips, of course, not coal. We'll let you be the judge of whether these pickups are hot or not. Kurt and his wife were traveling on I-90 just east of Livingston, Montana. Autopilot was keeping their Model 3 right at the 80-mile-per-hour speed limit. When he glanced in the rearview mirror, he noticed a large pickup truck quickly gaining on them. He told us that, in Montana, that's nothing remarkable. When the truck lined up next to Kurt, the driver proceeded to lay down one of the biggest smoke screens we've seen on this channel so far. Kurt told us he was tempted to accelerate past him to show him what a modern vehicle can do, but he decided not to stoop to the pickup driver's level. Instead, he breathed easy in the safety of his Tesla and watched the truck disappear in the cloud of black smoke. Sadly, that wasn't Kurt's only encounter with a triggered pickup driver. This time, Kurt was pulling up behind a Silverado when the driver decided to show off the size of his pollution. Kurt told us that even though the coal rolling was aimed at his Tesla, the Ram pickup behind the Silverado took most of it, and that driver didn't seem too impressed. Terminate. Kurt sent us one last video from another time he was coal rolled. He didn't think much of this one and told us it was pretty lame for a coal roll. After that dino fart he experienced in Montana, I'm guessing his standards are pretty high. In fact, he figured it was just exhaust from the diesel pickup accelerating. But when the pickup approached another Tesla farther ahead, the pickup driver let out another puff. That's 2 Teslas in a row for this fume sniffer. Kurt told us he's sure someone will be proud. Sadly, since Montana is literally coal country, he's probably not gonna have much luck if he reports these incidents. Jeff was on his way home with his son Jacob when he decided to be polite and let a truck merge into traffic. What a gentleman. Obviously, we can expect Jeff to be treated with the same level of respect, right? Nope. Shortly after Jeff let him into traffic, the other driver rolled coal. Jeff told us he's been driving a Tesla since 2019, but this was the first time he's been hit with the dreaded carbon cloud. 5 years is pretty good. His son Jake immediately said, "This has to go to Wham Baam Teslacam." Alexander is a new driver who is still learning, which was clearly indicated on his car when he was out driving with his father and sister. As he accelerated normally from a traffic light, the pickup driver next to him suddenly sped up in an attempt to merge in front of him. Alexander told us that when the pickup driver's lane was about to end, he laid on his horn, shocking Alexander with his modified train horn. Needless to say, Alexander backed off and let the pickup ahead of him. The pickup driver then turned on his off-road light bar, which was illegally pointed backward. I don't think we need to explain how dangerous this was, blinding a new driver and all the drivers behind him. It was practically impossible for Alexander to see anything ahead of him, like people, animals, or other dangers in the road, with that light blinding him. Alexander slowed down, and the triggered child driving the pickup truck eventually turned off the light bar that's brighter than he is. If you recognize the pickup or can identify the brainless driver, please let us know so we can report him to the authorities. If you can't get enough of the road ragers, you'll definitely want to check out this video next. Or if you just want to see more pickups rolling coal, then this video is for you. Enjoy!